Today, we're talking about the difference between arpeggios and melodic phrases. Check it out. The idea I had in mind today is kind of bleeding a little bit into tomorrow's class, a little bit melodic ear training, because I was thinking we would mix it up. This is our third week now of doing these daily classes. And we've been focusing pretty strictly on triads for our Monday topic. I mean, that's what the topic is, triad mastery. But part of melodic triads are also taking the triad and turning them into quadratonics, which if you're brand new with us is when we have the triad, 3 notes, and then we add this extra 4th note to that mix, this tension note, and its purpose is meant to create melody, right? It's a dramatic note, an emotional tension note that pushes up against the triad and creates tension and resolution in our lines, okay? That's a huge component to creating melody with triads, and it's something worth exploring as far as like bootcamp kind of assignments go. So I thought we would delve into this a little bit today. What's up, Gary? Hey, Miguel. Great to see you too. Thanks for hanging. Today I want to discuss the difference between an arpeggio and a quadratonic. Okay? Again, the quadratonic is a triad with a tension note. Okay? An arpeggio, if we're playing, let's say, a C6 arpeggio, that's a triad with the 6th added, C, E, G, A. It's a C6 arpeggio. It's a 4-note structure. In melodic triads, we might refer to this, we can play arpeggios, but we might refer to this 4-note structure as C major tension 6, which is the same set of pitches as a C6 arpeggio, but it's not the same thing. Okay? The arpeggio is meant to be played top to bottom, up and down, descending, ascending. Okay, there's kind of no, what's the right word to use? There's no storytelling purpose to any of the individual notes in this way of thinking in an arpeggio. Okay, let's start first and foremost with just the basic C major triad, no 6 added. If you're looking at the PDF, this is the 2nd position on the PDF. Starting on the 8th fret, the C note. Okay, basic C major triad. When we add the 6 in, okay, this is an arpeggio. We're not worried about technique or speed or getting it super fast at the moment. We're just looking for where that 6 sits in this position. Okay, but all the notes are more or less equal, right? We know that the C note is the root, but once we get playing, it's just about outlining that shape. Okay, it's like painting by colors. We're opening the coloring book and we see that one block and it says, you know, color this one red, and so we just color it red. Versus thinking of this as a quadratonic where we have a C major triad and a tension 6, an A note that wants to move. It's unstable melodically. And that doesn't sound anything like an arpeggio. Same pitches though, same 4 notes. But now we're assigning a function and a purpose to these 4 notes. We have in notes and tension notes. So now we have tension and resolution inside of our line. This is like the melodic version of a 5-1 chord progression, right? 5 is dominant, is tense. 1 is tonic, it's resolution. We're trying to create the same function, the same roles, but now with individual notes. Okay? Hear the difference? We're going to explore this difference more, not just in today's class, but in tomorrow's lesson also. We're going to do some more ear training type work tomorrow and maybe explore this over some unconventional chords that you would not expect and maybe look at it. In fact, maybe we'll stick with it for the whole week. We'll look at some tunes with this sound in it. But the first thing we have to understand is just the conceptual difference between running up and down this like an arpeggio versus seeing the triad and the tension note. Same pitches, different structure. One of them is 4 pitches that are more or less equal. There's a root note, but they're just running up and down. And one of them is 3 stable notes, 1 tension note. So first thing, okay, we are going to take this further throughout the week. But before we can take it further, we just need to be able to see the shape and be in control of it. So let's just do some bootcamp type assignment work and just take this shape as an arpeggio and just move it around through the circle of fifths. Just make sure that we can see it in all 12 keys. Okay, if you're a beginner or early intermediate, this might be a little bit challenging for you. It might be very challenging for you. That's normal, that's fine. And you don't necessarily need to be able to play this in all 12 keys to start using it over, let's say, a B-flat blues. But it's helpful to try this stuff. Okay, we got to get our fingers moving and we got to start seeing things around the fretboard. So here's C. Okay, again, this is just the sort of arpeggio version. We're just going to play up and back. Let's see, here's F. Up on the 13th fret. B flat on the 6th fret. Speed the tempo up a little bit, E flat, 11th fret, A flat, D flat, G flat, 2nd fret, B, 7th fret, E, 12th fret. If you're not already practicing the circle of fifths, applying ideas you learned to the circle of fifths, I can't recommend it enough. It's super helpful. A on the 5th fret, D, 10th fret, G, 3rd fret, almost to the end. It's the last one, and then back to C. Okay? Your ears probably, and your mind is probably thinking, okay, these are, that's C6, that was F6, B flat 6. Both as arpeggios and as harmony. That's because we're all trained, it's drilled into our head, this idea of chord scale theory, where every chord is a scale, every scale is a chord. All that stuff is fine. We're going to break that down this week, and we've already done this in a bunch of our previous classes, but we're going to continue doing that. This is not necessarily a C6 chord. Right? We're playing it as a C6 arpeggio right now, but once we learn to think of it as just a C triad with a tension 6, we can then insert that as an upper structure triad over all kinds of different harmonic situations. Before we get there though, let's start thinking about how we can practice this as a quadratonic to create melodic phrases versus just running up and down it like an arpeggio. Okay, we have to just create the right thought process, the right structure in our mind to get the right perspective so that then we can use it musically. If we're trying to play something musically from the wrong angle, from the wrong perspective, if we're not thinking right, it all starts up here. If we're not thinking right, it's going to be really difficult to make music with any of this stuff. We're just going to sound like robots, which nobody wants to play music like that. So let's think about what the purpose of this tension note is, and then that'll give us some ideas as to how we can practice it. We always want to practice things with a purpose, like what's the point of it? If the purpose is just to get the shape in your hand because you don't know how to play it yet, you can't see the visual geometry of it, then that's your purpose, and you should just be doing arpeggio work like this, okay? But assuming you can already see what it looks like, we want to start practicing the A note, tension 6, within its melodic or musical function, which is that it wants to move. So we want to express that movement, we want to bring it out, okay? tension 6 can move, any tension note can resolve up or down. So the 6 is a whole step above the 5th of the triad, so it resolves down beautifully. Okay, it already doesn't really sound like that obnoxious, robotic, computer-style arpeggio that we were playing a minute ago. 1, 3, 5, tension, resolution. Notice when I play the tension note, I'm actually playing it a little louder. I'm giving the tension note some space, and that's a good thing to practice. Let's do that. Okay, maybe I'll slide into that tension note to give it a little bit more of a just to make it more obvious to the ear that, like, hey, this note is saying something. And then we're resolving it. So I'm playing it louder, I'm sliding into it with a leading tone, I'm giving it a little bit more of a critical role in this very tiny little phrase. I'm helping open my ear, I'm helping visualize where that note is on the fretboard. Right, I'm bringing together all these things that are much more human than just ascending and descending an arpeggio. Let's take that through the circle fifths. Let's do some boot camp work here. Right, now it just sounds like we're playing the blues. It doesn't even sound like we're practicing. Right, this is not an arpeggio. If we stop the circle fifths and we go back to C, now it's really going to sound like the blues. Right? Six. We're getting into tomorrow's topic. We're doing a little bit of melodic ear training here. I'm trying to point out the storytelling ability of the tension note. That was tension 6. Right? It's just giving us phrases now. Can you see how dumb it sounds to practice the arpeggio this way now? We will always improvise based on the way we practice. So whatever information you're putting into your ears, your mind, your heart, your fingers, your visualization of the fretboard, whatever information you're feeding yourself in your practice time, that's going to come out when you improvise. So if you don't want to sound like this, don't want to sound like that when you're improvising, be very careful about how long you let yourself practice that when you're just sitting shedding. It's an important thing to work on. We have to get our fingers moving. We have to learn to see these shapes. But as soon as you're even remotely comfortable with a shape like this, like a C6 or F6 arpeggio, stop. Okay? And really think about what you're doing. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So you're not going to get perfect at playing music. You're going to make it permanent in your playing, that you're just going to approach this set of pitches in this very robotic fashion. So better to just get a little bit proficient at it and then start thinking about melody and phrases. So I cut us off from the circle of fifths to play through a little bit of C blues. Let's keep going. start back over at C. That time I doubled up the tension note. Okay, B flat. That's B flat, E flat. Right, I don't know if you saw my finger. That time I resolved it with a slide. Why? Because it just feels right. Like we just want to get a nice phrase. A flat. D flat. G flat. B. E. B. No, that was E, A. Gotta finish my coffee before we do these. D. Did you hear on that one? I decided to go quicker with the tension note. Right, these are sentences. I'm just practicing the idea of putting words together to form sentences. Back at C. So this is the tension 6 resolving down to the 5th. The tension 6 can, any tension note can always resolve up or down. Okay? If it's resolving back into the triad, wherever it falls in this triad, like this is 1, 3, 5. So the 6 is right above it, and we've been resolving it down to the 5 because 6 is right next to 5. But there's another root note up here, right? 1, 3, 5, 1. So the tension 6 can also resolve up to that 1. It's a longer distance, but you can always resolve to the tonic. Okay? The melodic tonic, the melodic do. F, gonna go through the circle of fifths. B flat, E flat, right, really lay into it, play it louder. It's meant to be heard and felt. It's an emotion, not an arpeggio. A flat. Here's D flat. G flat. B. E. A. D. G. Back to C. Stop it. I think we're going to maybe stick with this sound for maybe not the whole week, but most of the week. There's a ton of stuff we can do with this sound, but first we need to understand the conceptual difference. We need to get our mind right, understand the conceptual difference between a C6 arpeggio and a C major tension 6. Right? Same set of pitches, but completely different in terms of application of music. And these notes are not going to magically come to life on their own. Right? These notes, we're like puppeteers, we're like marionettes, right? They're just little puppets, and we have to breathe life into them. Okay? If you just see a puppet lying on the floor, like, it's very obviously a puppet, but as soon as somebody picks it up and starts pulling the strings in a convincing way, all of a sudden it feels like there's like a thing there, there's a life, there's an entity. We want our melodies to have that sensation. Right? We want melody that feels human, that feels organic and alive. Aaron Parks said something once. I can't remember the exact words now, but effectively the idea was, he wants the musician to make him believe the melody, like to make it feel like that melody is true, which is, I think, another way of saying, like, bring it to life, breathe into it. That's a C6 arpeggio. That's a C major triad with an A note added, but it's not an arpeggio. There's so many standards that have this inside the melodic DNA that you would never look at and think, oh, that's an arpeggio. But it's still using the same set of pitches. So think about, I gave you a couple of ideas in terms of resolving the sixth, the tension sixth down to the fifth, or up to the root. Think about, start with the practice I just gave you today, and actually play through them and really start working on your melodic phrasing and your ability to use tension notes melodically to convey an emotion. But do the bootcamp work. So like, if you can't get through all 12 keys, if you can only play it in C, then just try and get it into one other key. Okay? If you can get a couple keys, try and get it into 6 other keys. If you can get into 6, then try and get it to 12. But focus first on just getting it in one key. Okay? If you're a beginner or early intermediate, just see it in C major first, and then you can move around through the other keys. If you can move it through all your keys, then try and play a blues. Just thinking C tension 6 over the C chord, F tension 6 over the F chord, G tension 6 over the G chord. Play 1-4-5 blues. Don't worry about fancy turnarounds and whatnot in the beginning. Just get used to the 12 measures, the 12-bar form with this triad tension 6 quadratonic. Okay, just phrases. Let's check in and see if anybody's got any questions. It doesn't look like it so far, but Facebook is weird and doesn't always show me comments in real time. Or I should say, doesn't ever show me comments in real time. Miles, great to see you, man. Alan, awesome. I didn't realize you were in Jersey. Killer. Good to see you on here right across the pond. Hey, Michael, Sean, can you share some rhythmic tricks when we practice these basic triad shapes? In the beginning, I wouldn't worry about any rhythmic tricks. There are no tricks. The trick is to learn to hear the tension note and then express it. Right? Is there a rule that I could give you as to how long I should have held that moment of silence before I continued? I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't think there is. I think it loses the element of what I'm talking about of trying to be more human. If you need to practice in eighth notes first, then practice in eighth notes first, but the goal should just be on playing. However it comes out. Right? Just copy that rhythm for now. This isn't anything that I came up with ahead of time. It was just the way it rolled off my fingertips when I started playing. But remember, sometimes I played the notes short, sometimes I played them long, sometimes I doubled them up. Okay. It's a good question. I understand why you're asking it, but it's asking the wrong question. That's why I was talking earlier about getting the mindset right. If the mindset is approaching things from like a right and wrong, or, how do I do this perfectly? What's the right thing? Just start thinking about the idea of tension resolution. Okay. If it sounds tense, then resolve it. Or hold it out and let it sound tense and don't resolve it yet, and then resolve it, right? But you have to find that confidence, that mojo, that sort of authority and integrity here, and then it can be conveyed musically. Otherwise, we're all going to be stuck for 30, 40, 50 years just practicing out of books and watching YouTube videos and, trying to find the secret answer from somebody else. It's all in here. We got to know the theory. The theory is important, right? And we got to get our fingers playing it also. But we have to feel it here and hear it in the ear. It's like getting this all in alignment. Okay. So I think I would be doing you a disservice by giving you a specific answer to that question, even though I totally get why you're asking it. It's very normal. Everybody wants to ask that question in every concept of music theory. When we talk about a concept, we always want to know the rules to it. They're important, but when it comes to practicing them, as quickly as we can, we should get away from that mentality and just start exploring. Just be little kids in the woods with that stick. Right? Just make stuff up. I don't see any other questions, so we're going to leave it there today. Tomorrow, we're going to do melodic ear training, so we'll dig a little bit deeper into the emotional quality of this note. We'll try putting it over some different chords and see what it sounds like. You'll be surprised how many chords this might work over. B flat major 7. B flat major 7, we're playing a C6 arpeggio, C major tension 6. We'll check out some different harmonies that it fits over, and then maybe in the next day we'll do putting it over some tunes or some 2-5-1s or something. We'll leave it there today. Thanks for hanging. Hope to see some of you guys again tomorrow. Happy practicing. Hey YouTube, it's Jordan Clemens with NYC Jazz Guitar Masterclasses and the Melodic Triad Study Group. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I have a ton of content coming out on YouTube this year. We've been doing daily jazz guitar lessons, so I'm going to be posting videos like this pretty much every day. So if you dug this and you want to follow me, subscribe and make sure that you turn on notifications so that you can watch more videos like this. Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you in the comment section. Hope to see you in the next video.